my exchange year in España, or in Spain. Do you mind clicking it? Okay, so my placement. I was placed up in Cantabria, Spain, which is up in the north. So France is here, so I was up in the greener part of Spain. So the more you go down, the more desert. This is where all the fires are. And I was up in the green part. So my city was called Torlavega. It's about 15 minutes from the beach. Um, there was kind of a saying about my town when I told people that I had been placed in Torlavega. They were like, "Oh, good luck! It's the ugliest city in Spain." But I disagree. There was a church, and here's the overview of the site. There was mountains, and it's a really pretty place. Okay. So stats, my city had about 50,000 people. It was the second largest city in Cantabria. And again, a part of the northern lush part of Spain. So it's not what you picture when you think kind of desert with palm trees on the beach. It was more mountains. It was mountains, palm trees, ocean. It was nothing I'd seen before. And this part of Spain is a special part of Spain where they speak only Castellano. So there's 5 different dialects in Spain. So there's Catalan, there's Galician, you have Basque, but I was lucky enough to be placed in the area because my district is all the north, and those are where all of the other dialects are. So I was lucky to be placed in a place where I only had to learn one dialect of Spanish. So Castellano is what you hear around here. And again, it's one of the rainiest parts of Spain, so it wasn't quite what you picture when you think sunny vacation. This was Cantabria, so it was a pretty small state, so province, and I was able to travel around a ton. There was these big mountain ranges called the Picos de Europa, and they were just beautiful. One of my first days, my host family took me up in that tram to go to the top, and we went for a hike up there. And on casual weekends, my host family would take me up on hikes on these cliffs to go see the beautiful water, and it was spectacular. Okay, and about my family. So this was my first host family, the one I actually got the closest to. So I had my host dad and my host mom, Alex and Raquel, and I had 2 host sisters. One was in college, and the other one went on exchange to College Station in Texas, however, came back 3 weeks later. I don't think exchange was for her. I got really close with this family. They were a really close-knit family. My host mom had 6 sisters, and they would all do stuff together. And every weekend we would get together and do a merienda, which is the meal between lunch and dinner. And we would just spend time together. I had all these little cousins, and I've never been a part of a really big family, so this was a really cool change for me. Okay, this is my second host family. So this girl right here is my new best friend, Annie from Finland, and this was her first host family. So there was 3 exchange students in my city, one from Taiwan, and then Finland, and then me, and we all had to change. I was with this family for a shorter amount of time. I was only with them for about 4 months, but it was during my biggest trips, so I didn't get as close with this family, but they are super, super, super nice, and they took me to their village where they would have me meet their family, and really welcoming family. I had 2 host sisters. Well, one was in the United States, in North Carolina. I had a younger host sister. She was 12. And then I had a host brother. He was studying a lot because this was his last year of high school, and they have to do some really hard exams, so we didn't get to hang out much. But he went on exchange to the US. So there's 3 main words. So mi instituto, which means my school. There's 3 main words in Spanish for the word school. So there's escuela, instituto, and colegio. And I picked instituto because I think this is closer to more of what you can call an institute, and here in English, more of like a prison. We had barred windows, and my personal favorite was the lime green wall accents. It really was really quite welcoming. But it was also one of the best schools in Cantabria, and they had a really high English level. So when I was struggling, there was a lot of English teachers I could go to. There was actually an American there. But overall, there was no computers, and we still used chalkboards. So it was quite different from here. Old school, yeah. Okay, la gente means the people. If you are ever struggling to make friends, step one foot into Spain and you'll have 20. My first day in school, without even talking to anybody, people were coming up to me and asking me, "Are you the exchange student? Oh my gosh, we need to hang out sometime." And when they said, "Let's go get coffee," they actually meant it. And they would text you, and they would, the next day, you're going and getting coffee with them. And they were extremely welcoming people. I mean, this was day 2 of me in Spain, and I already was welcomed into a giant friend group. And I became really close with also the other exchange students, of course. But I think the most valuable thing to me was just how welcoming and friendly the Spaniards are. And I also got really close with my host mom. So my host mom and me are best friends now. Okay, la idioma, the language. So I am now fluent in Spanish. However, it was not easy. So it took me about, for me to call myself fluent, I'd say 6 or 7 months. I struggled a little bit more with the language because I have dyslexia. So my host mom's sister actually specializes in teaching languages to get to children with dyslexia. So, and she needed some college hours. So I spent a lot of time with her. That's me with her dog. I met up with her for about 4 months, and then I kind of got the training wheels off, and I was speaking really fluently. And my philosophy teacher also offered extra credit to my classmates to give us exchange students Spanish lessons. So I figured it out. So some biggest culture shocks. Late eating times. Spaniards tend to eat for lunch at 2:30 for lunch, and for dinner 9, 9:30, 10, and on the weekends 11 or sometimes 12. And it was just whenever they felt like it. Um, Lunch was the biggest meal, and then after that you would take a siesta. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's a short nap after lunch typically, because Spaniards tend to eat a lot for lunch, and it's also the hottest part of the day. So family is everything in Spain, and I knew that going into Spain, but I got to really see that when I was there. Every weekend, it's with the family. Every Sunday is a special day for the family. Um, it's kind of more traditional. The mom still does everything. She does the laundry, she cleans, she does the house. The kids don't even know how to make their own beds or cook. And it's kind of a more of a culture because they don't usually move out until 30. Um, so definitely that was one of the biggest culture shocks for me, was just how I was going from being so independent, being able to drive, being able to do my own laundry, to like, I'm your mom, I'll take care of you. So communication, they talk a lot with their hands. They're very loud. Yeah, they muy fuerte, and they're very welcoming too. And you can have some really serious conversations with them, and you can also have some really fun conversations with them. Every day's a party. Um, Life is in the street. I don't think I spent a single day in my bedroom just watching a movie unless I was sick. I mean, every day it was out. You're going out, you're with your friends, you're with your family. There is no at home time. Like, it is, you're out. Walking everywhere, I think I had 15,000 steps or more every single day. I never had to ask my host parents for rides or anything. It was a really good feeling. I felt really independent. School is more lecture based, so every student was kind of more expected to learn on their own. A lot of students would take their own classes, and Spaniards have a really thick accent, so that was another reason it was a little difficult to learn the language, because when I, for example, hear the word heart, so corazon, in Spanish, in Spain Spanish, it's corazon, so they use that ta ta ta, and that's a little bit more difficult to pick up on. Dia a dia, so day to day. So here's my first host family's house, and there is my bedroom. That's where I spent about 6 months of my time. And I would come home from school about 2:30, and that's when my day just started. So after that, I would take the train. The trains were so easy and accessible. I would just go to, there was the beach town I could go to. It was a 15-minute bus ride. I could take the train to Santander, which is the capital of Cantabria, and it was the bigger city. It was right on the ocean, and we'd do our shopping out there. And then some days during the warmer months, I would go to the beach after school, which that was a highlight. Okay. And then balonmano. So this was something when you think of Spain, I know they just won the World Cup, is more soccer, but this was more my reality. So my host dad was the boss of the balonmano, which is handball um, team in Torlavega, and I got to every Friday and every weekend I was with them and I was at the games. I got to meet the players. And I got to travel to some places. I went to Leon, which used to be the capital, the capital of Spain. And then comida típico, so typical food in Spain. So this over here are my two favorites. So this is tortilla de patatas, which is potatoes, like eggs and onion typically, and you cook it up. It's just a big omelet. It's a thick omelet, and it's pretty hearty. I ate that like a lot for breakfast or for lunch, and sometimes dinner. Croquetas. So this was like a fried dough with jamon, and usually made with butter and milk, and then they fry it. And then paella, which is more typical what you think of when you think of Spain, and this is more typical in Valencia. But my host dad still made it, so it's still more of a thing everywhere. Gachopo, this is just meat with cheese in the middle, fried. They loved fried things. I've never eaten more fried food than I had in Spain. Jamon, so every single family gathering, they just had a whole leg of jamon and they were shaving off the ham in front of you, and there'd just be plates of it. And these are tapas, which are also like over here, are pretty typical. And in Spain, there's a thing called tomar algo. So you go and you have a drink with your friends and you be talking, and usually, typically, they would give you a free tapa with your drink. And these are something. These I had to include these because I had to include something bad. Um, these were eel noodles. So this was something that I maybe wasn't my favorite, and they're basically noodles, but they're made out of eels, and they don't taste like much, but the texture was a little bit weird for me. But I had to eat that on a number of occasions as well. Okay, Dia de los Reyes Majos. So this is more important than Christmas. So this is their Christmas, and it's Three Kings Day. They would eat this thing called rescon, which means crown, and it was basically a bread filled with cream and candied fruit on top. And they usually did parades, and oftentimes Spaniards would pick a favorite king. Um, my host mom's was this one. Forget all their names. But yeah, this was on January 6th. And then las fiestas, so Christmas, New Year's, and as well as my birthday. It was nonstop party with with my host family. I would hang out with them all day long, and then would stay up with them until 4 a.m. playing board games, and then we would all go to bed and sleep in until about 4 p.m. Have a big meal, and then stay up really late again, and this would go on for days of because we did that for New Year's as well as Christmas. And my host parents got divorced while I was out there. So my host mom and my host dad, my first family, so over there, they got divorced. So I had New Year's with my host mom, and I had Christmas with my host dad. So this is my host dad's family down here for Christmas, and then up there we have my New Year's family. And there was just these big tables full of people, and people were talking the entire time. Everyone's screaming at each other. They got their hands like they speak with their hands, and of course, jamon. So it was always there. Okay, Rotary. So what was Rotary like in Spain? So um, it was very different from here. I met up with my Rotary Club about once a month and just checked in, and they said, "How are you? Okay, here's your money." And it was about. But we also did some interact stuff where we went to Marbella for the 50-year reunion, and we got to do paintball, and we did a bunch of conferences, which was fun. My district was the smallest, so it was about us five, and then plus halfway through the year we got more Australians, and then we had Taiwanese. But it was a pretty small district, but we became really close. Um, Okay, so I did a couple of tours while I was in Spain. So my in Spain they offer the Spain tour, and I did this in February where I got to see basically all the big cities in Spain. So I got to see Madrid, I got to see Cordova, Valencia, Granada, Sevilla, Alicante. and I think I've named them all, but yeah. So I got to see a lot of the big cities, and it was really something. It was a week long in a bus, and we went around and go saw everything. So this is another thing we did. We did Camino de Santiago. So if you're not familiar with it, it's the pilgrimage. There's a bunch of them, but the one that we did, we didn't do the full thing. We only did 100 kilometers of it, but it's fully 800 kilometers. But it's from France all the way down to Santiago de yeah, yeah, Compostela, yeah, and you follow these shells, and so we all had backpacks with our shells on, and we stayed in hostels, and we walked for about a week straight, and it was beautiful. I mean, just insane, and it rained quite a bit too. I don't know if you can see here, we're all in ponchos. We were running through the rain. It was really great time. Okay, Euro tour. So if you, I don't probably a lot of all the students that are placed in Europe have the ability to take Euro tour. So if you're not familiar, you get to see 10 different countries. So we started in Paris and we went to the Netherlands. We went to Belgium, Venice. We went to yeah, again Berlin. Um, we went Prague. It was in 2 weeks in a bus. It was a really good time. So, challenges. What were my biggest challenges while abroad? I would say the language for me. It took me a little bit longer. Also, the girl from Finland next to me, she learned so fast, but it also challenged me to like pick it up even faster. School, I'd say, was definitely the hardest part, just because um, there wasn't a lot of here. We have a lot of accommodations. There's a lot of people you can talk to, but there it was just like you sit through the class and you take it. And I was in Greek class while in Spain, so that was quite interesting. Um, Host family. So I had amazing host families, but it is difficult living in someone else's home when you're never quite comfortable. I was really good with my first host family. The second host family, amazing people, but you know that it was I took longer to get more comfortable with them. Social exhaustion. Spaniards are really social. I was talking to everybody all the time in my second language, and it was a little bit exhausting. And you definitely have to pace yourself. Um, Cultural differences. I definitely think the Spaniards always wanted to do one thing, and I didn't always want to do that same thing. So it was a little difficult to also make deep connections with them. Um, like it was really easy to make connections with exchange students because you're all doing the same thing, and you're all starting from kind of ground one. But these Spaniards have been together all of their lives, and you're just jumping in there and trying to be friends with them. So it's a little difficult to become deep friends with them. Okay, and then my biggest takeaways is my independence and confidence. I feel like that has just skyrocketed since I've been back. I feel like I can do anything. Language and communication. I've been speaking so much Spanish since I've been back. I just moved to Santa Fe, so there's even more Spanish over there. I'm looking for jobs right now, and it really helps me that I'm bilingual. Um, New perspective on the world. Like I have also kind of found some more of my ambition that I want to do. I love to travel. I really want to go abroad again for college. I think that that's kind of what excites me. Relationships matter. If you just, I don't know, shoot one text message to that person that you maybe don't talk to once in a while, like that person will really be there for you. And like I had so many memories just because I made small relationships and I did small things that I didn't even think mattered, but they really mattered to that person. Um, Growth comes from discomfort. It's really good to be uncomfortable because that's when you grow and you're more capable than what you think of. I think that we can do anything if we put our minds to it. And also, I think slow down and enjoy life. I think there's a real factor to that. I think in Spain, it's life over work. And I think I've seen a new perspective on that. And I think it's really good. It's a good way. It's a really good difference than how we maybe think in America. And I think there was one more. Questions? And over there, I have my flag that I've had all my other exchange friends sign, as including some of my friends, if you guys want to look at them. And I also have a scrapbook from my host mom, if anyone wants to look at it. Thank you so much.
I actually have one question.
Yeah.
So, how was your like your first arrival? How did that feel for you?
I think I was running on adrenaline like crazy. Um the day that I arrived there, I'd been traveling for over 24 hours, and my host mom just grabbed me up and gave me a kiss and was just like, "Okay, we're going to introduce you to the whole family." So, um I think I was so excited to go abroad that I didn't even quite process that it was happening to me. Um, and then once you're there, my experience was really welcoming because I had such a great host family. But I think for me, I didn't quite have a like homesickness period. And if you just keep going out there and doing things, you won't even feel it. Like I don't even think I started to even think about home until maybe Christmas time, and then that was only for like a day, and it was just because I was tired. And then, but just keep going out there, and you'll forget all about those problems. That's the best recommendation I can give. But yeah, anything else? Yeah.
So if you had to do it all over again, what would you have done different?
You know, I thought about that a few times and it's hard to think of. Like, I think I am really happy with what I did. I said yes to about everything. Um, I, I mean, maybe got even more fluent, I think is the only thing I can say. But I think that this year was the best year of my life. And I'm really happy with everything I did and I have no regrets. Anything else? No? Okay, cool. We took this mic. I think this will go to you now.
Some presentation seems so lame. Yeah. Hey, could I use the little podium?
Yeah, you
I
can
have a microphone on it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Is this working? No.
Green light.
Well, yeah, I'll just talk loud. It's fine. There it goes. All right, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I know about my upcoming exchange to Switzerland, about my host families and stuff. Can't give all the culture stuff yet. Super. So first, if you don't know who I am, I'm Trey. I am almost a junior at high school. I am a German student right now at about high A1 level. I did NJROTC for 2 years now. I am a skier and mountain biker, and I really love that. And I also really love meteorology, astronomy, and aviation. 3 of those are my biggest interests. You might want to know why I would pick Switzerland. So uh, I was looking for, since I took German for a year, I wanted a place that could improve my German level. And since Switzerland is a primarily German-speaking country, it fit perfectly. They have incredible skiing, which I love. They have world-class mountain biking as well. They have beautiful mountains, lakes, nature, all of that. The people there are super friendly and they have super safe communities. And it's also in the middle of Europe, which makes it easy to travel to basically everywhere. And yeah, it combines everything I love with everything I would want to learn. Where I'll live is the canton of Lucerne in Hochdorf municipality. And the first place I'm going to live is in a little village called Ursville. I don't know if you can see my mouse there, but it's right here in the municipality of Hochdorf. And it's a rural farming community about 20 minutes from Lucerne. Everyone there bikes all over the place. I mean, my first host family's kids bike about 5 kilometers to school every morning, and the school is right next to a lake, and they bike everywhere else too. And then you can take a train, about a 30-minute train ride or an hour train ride to Zurich, and it's really short everywhere. Um, I already know my 3 host families, and I want to talk a little bit about them. So my first host family is Michael and Andrea, who are going to be my host mom and dad, and I'm going to have 5 host siblings, one of which is going on exchange to Argentina. They have 3 cats, and they live in Ursville. They basically like everything I do when it comes to going out in nature. They love skiing, hiking, swimming, biking, all of that. My second host family is the Noya family. They are Nadine and Rolf, which are my mom and dad. I'm going to have 2 host siblings, which is about as many kids as people in Switzerland normally have. My first host family, it actually has a lot more kids than most families in Switzerland do. You usually only have 1 or 2 kids, but it's unusual to have 5 apparently. So I thought that was interesting. They have 2 cats, and they also live in Hochdorf in more of the central city part. They love skiing. The dad does marksmanship and hunting, and they also love aviation and traveling. Um, they own a chalet, forgot how to pronounce it, in the Swiss Alps. They speak High German at home since they are originally a German family, and they had an exchange student from Ukraine for 2 years, 5 years ago, I think. And then my third family is the Young family. They are Hugo and Priska. They are older in their 60s, and they have 5 adult children, 2 of which went on exchange. One of them went to Canada, and the other one went to Oregon. And they own a dairy farm with about 70 cows. So it's a very farming-oriented family that they are. Realized my thank you slide was a bit boring, so I wrote a note. I really did want to give a special thank you to all the Rotarians and Rotary, since in a year I'll have basically I'll have learned a new language, and I'll have learned German, I'll have met tons of new people, and I'll have learned like all these new skills for self-care and responsibility. And I just wanted to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to go on exchange, and whether it was through informing me about Rotary Club and exchange initially, or helping to set up the events I've gone to in the past year. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions about anything?
It sounds like you picked a really good family.
I did. Oh, I didn't pick them. They picked me.
Okay. Yeah.
When do you leave?
I leave August 1st. So yeah, very soon. Just a few days now. So yeah. Wait, what?
How do you feel?
I am not as nervous as I thought I'd be. I'm mainly excited. The more research I do on Switzerland, the cooler of a place it seems to me. So the one thing I could say I guess a little nervous about is when I first arrive, how I'm gonna do with the language and stuff. I mean, but it's part of the things every Rotary exchange student has to go through. So I'm gonna tough it out, I guess. So yeah. Anything else?
Here today, I wanted to give you this. You can give it to the club or host club. And I brought that thing out briefly, our banner with all the little mini banners on it. So make sure to give them to me. Sure. All right. So